Look at us here today. We see so many flags representing so many nations. We know we are not alone, and we thank you for being with us. For all people around the world who stand today in unity with the Iranian people, this is not just because it's good for us, and you do it out of compassion and care for our rights to liberty and justice and equality and human rights. But understand that it is in your best interest too, to have, unlike this regime that has been propagating terror and radicalism, we the people of Iran are peacemakers and not warmongers. We like to be friends, especially with the free world. We'd like to be able to have the best neighborly relationship with the people of our area and the region, with the Arab countries, with Israel, and all our other neighbors. We are fighting for justice, we're fighting for human rights, we are fighting for liberty, we're fighting to put an end to all sorts of discrimination. Because as an Iranian, I stand here to tell you that I've dedicated 47 years of my life because I think that my country deserves far better than what we have right now. To now understand that their best remedy is to support the people of Iran, because ultimately a free Iran will be your best partner, not just to bring stability and peace, but it will be in your best economic interest and opportunities. Together we can prosper again, and the world will be so different once the Iranian people are free. I am here to guarantee a transition to secular democratic future. I am committed to be that leader of transition for you, so we can one day have the final opportunity to decide the fate of our country through a democratic, transparent process, through the ballot box and free elections. And let's make sure that this time, especially the free nations of this world and their governments, stand on the right side of history.
Well, Durud, everyone. Durud to our compatriots. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to day 134 of Iran Revolution Live. Unfortunately, I can't introduce your wonderful and amazing host, Mr. Armin Navabi, because we are starting the show a little late today and Armin is preoccupied, but that's okay. So I'm just going to have to introduce myself. I'm Goldie Ghamari, and I'm only half of Iran Revolution Live, because obviously Iran Revolution Live does not work without Armin. However, oh, you guys saw him earlier? Oh, amazing. I'm so happy. Okay. I'm so happy that Armin went live. That is perfect. Great. I'm so happy to hear that. I was speaking with Armin a little bit. Oh, amazing. Okay. I'm so happy to hear that. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go and take a look at Armin's posts and see what coverage he was providing. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's fantastic. So there you go. But this is day 134 of Iran Revolution Live, and we are starting just a little bit late because, of course, it was Mother's Day. And I, had some family plans. However, I was also attending the rally in Richmond Hill today. And I didn't announce this publicly, right? And there's a reason that I don't announce these things publicly. So I just want to share a few videos from what happened today. So before that, let me start first by sharing the post that basically is from the king of Iran. Some call him the crown prince, Reza Pahlavi. And today there was an international rally, right? So it was a global day of action, and there were numerous cities all around the world that were gathering. And the purpose of the gathering was, of course, to be a voice for the Iranian people. And the purpose was to, make sure that all eyes continue to be on Iran. Oh, someone's asking, why don't I carry the Iranian flag over my shoulder? I mean, yeah, it's right here, literally, guys. The flag is right here. I mean, I can put it on my shoulders. The only reason I don't put it on my shoulders sometimes is that because the weather is getting a little bit warmer. When I put it on, I do get a little bit cold sometimes. But you know what? I'll put it on right now. So there you go. There's my flag. Guys, even when my flag is not on my shoulders, it's literally always on my chair right here. So there you go. But I will put it. Oh my no! Oh no, my shoulders! Oh no! Oh no! There you go. But I'm like I said, I love wearing my flag. It's pretty much become like my comfort blanket. So there you go. Happy to put it on. But I want to share this. So there was let me bring this up. So today was a global rally. Okay. So and there were demonstrations happening in over 30 cities all across the world. 30, like definitely more, but at least 30 cities. So I attended the one in Toronto today, in Richmond Hill specifically. And of course, I don't announce these things in advance for security reasons. Sorry, I meant I get warm. The weather is getting warmer, so sometimes I get warm when I wear the flag. I wore it every day in the winter, but it's getting a little bit warmer. But anyways, that's what I meant. So this was the rally. Okay, so it was a global day of action. It happened all around the world, and it was basically the rally was really to be a voice for all of the Iranian mothers who have lost children, or Iranian mothers who have been murdered by the Islamic regime. So that's what we were doing. That's what we were doing. And so I attended the demonstration in Richmond Hill today. And it was amazing. I mean, it was always, well organized, well attended, a lot of people there. There was, I took a photo. So this is me at the rally today. As you can see, there's the flag of America, the flag of Israel, the lion and sun flag, all over images of King of Pahlavi. So that's basically what I did today. And then, of course, afterwards, took my mom out to celebrate Mother's Day. But this is the interesting thing. So here's the reason why I don't announce in advance where I am or where I'm going to be or what event I'll be attending. And I will explain why. So, guys, get this. Look at this video. Let me bring this up on Instagram because this is now starting to make the rounds. Now, will you see this on mainstream media? Probably not. However, at the same rally that I was attending today in Richmond Hill, which is just north of Toronto, an IRGC terrorist, an Iranian terrorist who is supporting the Islamic regime, showed up in their car, and apparently this man began ramming into other cars. So this guy used his car to ram into other vehicles. He ran over one person. And then when the police tried to arrest him, he faked some sort of illness, but he was arrested anyway. So I actually have a few a few videos of this. So let's watch the first one. So at this point where he's like fake like convulsing or whatever, like he's pretending he has some sort of illness. And then you can hear all the Iranians in the back, they're chanting Marg bar Jomhuriye Islami, which means death to the Islamic Republic. Guys, this literally happened at the event that I was at. So do you now understand why I never say where I'm going to be in advance? Because like there are crazy people everywhere, especially in Canada. So let's watch this video. And then as soon as he realizes that the cops are not going to buy his fake story about, oh, he had some sort of illness and that's why he rammed into two vehicles and ran over a guy, he raises his IRGC, like Islamic regime Durka terrorist flag, and he starts waving it. This is, guys, I was there today. I was there. That guy took his flag. You know what's wild? Like that's the Richmond Hill Public Library. Like this is where the event was being held, right? And then as you can see, like he's surrounded. Okay, we're gonna watch this video a few times, but let's just watch it first, and then I'll go back because there's a few interesting things here that I want to point out. So everyone is surrounding him, and they're yelling Bisharaf, which means dishonorable, right? That's what we call Islamic regime supporters, Bisharaf. So someone is saying, did he run over someone or just ram into cars? So still waiting for official updates, but from what I have heard so far, this terrorist rammed into a few cars, and he also apparently ran over a person. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing. But let's finish watching the video, and then we'll rewatch it, and I'll point out a few interesting things. Okay, so now the video is repeating here. So here you can see this terrorist. He's like laying on the ground and he's convulsing, like he's pretending as if he's having some medical illness, right? So watch this. He's like convulsing. And then people are yelling, Marg bar Jomhuriye Islami. And then people are starting to go up. And then other people are like, no, don't go. So now, okay, now you can see there's a woman in a red coat. And guys, I love Iranian women. Like Iranian women, there's a reason that we call them shirzan, Shirzan means lion women. So this woman in the red coat, she literally gives no F's. Like she sees this Bisharaf holding the Islamic regime flag, waving it, and she just literally tries to run up to him because she wants to take the flag. And then you see a whole bunch of guys go and like grab her because they want to keep her safe, right? Like they don't want her to get into trouble. Yeah, Zan means woman and Shir means lion. So, you know, we call our people Shirzan Shirmad because we call ourselves the lion people. And that's like something that Iranians have associated with for thousands and thousands of years. So kind of similar to how, you know, Americans associate with like, you know, the bald eagle. So for us Iranians, it's the lion. So here you can see her like literally trying to run up to him. And you know, she's like a short woman. She's about my height, pretty short, but she's super brave. But of course, the Iranian men, they go and they grab her because they don't want her to be arrested or anything like that because she's about to go like she's about to go like just F him up. And of course, they don't want her to get arrested. So watch this. They're like, no, this guy. So then you see the guy in the beige, the guy. So the woman in the red coat, she tried to go get his Durka flag, and you know they grabbed her and they pulled her back. But then the guy in the beige, he went and he grabbed it, and then he takes it from him. Right? Okay, the white coat, right?
You shut up! You shut up! You shut up!
Like, guys, at this point, the police literally had to protect the terrorist from the Iranian people because the Iranian people wanted to like go after the terrorists, right? So like when I say that we Iranians like it, I don't know how to how do I describe this while being politically correct? Yeah, just wait for the day. Just wait for the day that Iranians have the opportunity to get back at the terrorists that have murdered our children. Just wait for the day. What you're seeing here, this is like a very, very small preview of the anger and wrath and rage that Iranians have towards our Islamic regime terrorist occupiers. What you're seeing here is like a drop in the ocean. Okay, so this is the first video. I have a few more, and then I'm also going to do a little bit of doom scrolling on Instagram to see what else we could find. So that's the first one. Here's a different angle. Let me pull this up. So the title of this video, or the caption here, is حمله عامل جمهوری اسلامی با خودرو به مردم در تورنتو. So the caption basically reads Islamic regime mercenary attacks Iranians in Toronto with his car. So this is I think I haven't watched this video yet, but I'm assuming this is right before he was arrested. So let's see what happens here.
Just stay right here, man.
Just for now, stay right here.
Okay? Everything was going nice and cool. Everything was great.
So yeah, he was a big brave man until all the Iranians surrounded him, right? So there's this one. And then, wait, what's going on here? And then there's this one as well. Wait, there was one more. Here we go. There's this one as well that I haven't seen this one yet. Okay. So after he apparently tried to like fake an illness or something, he was arrested. Right. So I'm not going to translate what the people are saying, but they're basically swearing. They're basically calling him garbage. They're basically saying, you piece of poop, you garbage, your time is up. We're going to free Iran. You guys are going to, we're going to get justice for what you've done to our people. For our yes, this guy is Iranian. He is Iranian. Yeah, he's Iranian. He's one of the Durka Iranians. He's one of the terrorist Iranians that have immigrated to Canada. Yeah, cheers. It's down right here. They're basically just calling him. They're like, you garbage. You rootless person. You bisharaf. You dishonorable. And then people are like, I spit on your grave. I spit on your family's grave. I spit on the IRGC. And then you can also hear like people in the background. They're saying thank you, because they're thanking the police for arresting this guy. Now, I don't know. I don't have the updates because I've been out all day, but we're watching together. So yeah, there you go. So guys, if you're ever wondering why, I don't announce in advance where I am or where I'm going to be, yeah, this is why, because Canada, unfortunately, has become a safe haven for the Islamic regime, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. It's literally, it's like Durka factory. But here's the rally that I was attending today. So this is a quick footage. I haven't seen this one, but this is from Toronto. So we're gonna do a little bit of not doom scrolling necessarily, but let's just see what the Instagram algorithm shows us. And guys, I also have footage of demonstrations from other cities as well that we will go through. But this is the one from Richmond Hill today. I think there was like, I don't know, maybe 1,000, 2,000 people there. So what they're doing here is they're playing, my gosh, this is heartbreaking. They're playing the audio of an Iranian mother whose son was murdered by the Islamic regime. So there's that one. Oh, guys, okay, I don't know if I can doom scroll on Instagram because like now my algorithm's going to be exposed. I don't know if you guys are ready to see my Instagram algorithm. I don't know if I can do this. Because if you guys if you're exposed to my Instagram algorithm, you're going to have too much info on me, and I don't know if I'm ready to share that much detail with you guys about my algorithm choices. This is exposing myself. Guys, my Instagram algorithm is really weird. Okay. Okay, fine. We'll watch this. We'll watch this as like a, we'll watch this as like a comedic break. So I actually really like so this is so this page is managed by their parents, right? And these kids, they do like the moonwalk or whatever, and they do the moonwalk. They do it really well. They do it so well. And like honestly, every time I see their videos, it just makes me so happy. Like I see their videos and I'm like, yeah, let's go. All right. And I think they're twins. They're twins, and their page is managed by their mother. This is so cool. Like that's all their pages. That's all their pages. Like they just do this cool like moonwalk dance or whatever, and it looks like they're. Doesn't it look like they're floating? Like it's just so cool. Okay, I'll watch it again and then we'll continue. But yeah, now you're like my Instagram algorithm is being explained. It's just so cool. One day I will learn how to moonwalk, but not this day. Oh no! Oh no! This guy. Okay, I don't know if I can do Instagram anymore. I love this guy. Oh my gosh, this is like my favorite guys. This is my favorite like truck seller. Honestly, like I don't know if I will ever need a truck, but if I was ever going to buy a truck, I would buy a truck from this guy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is the trucks. I don't even follow him, but he shows up on my algorithm. You know what? This is the reason. This is the reason he shows up on my algorithm. So yeah, okay, there you go. There now you guys have a preview of my Instagram algorithm. Yeah, that's my Instagram algorithm. I don't think like we got to stop with the Instagram algorithm because we need to go back to Iran Revolution Live, and I think I've exposed myself way too much here. So I'm pretty sure if Armin was live streaming earlier today, he probably already shared this. So this post from President Donald J. Trump. Iran has been playing games with the United States and the rest of the world for 47 years. Delay, 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 which is 100% true. And then finally hit. Wait, what's going on here? Sorry. Sorry, I just had to respond to an email I received. Anyway, so Iran has been playing games with the United States and the rest of the world for 47 years. Delay, delay, delay. And then finally hit pay dirt when Barack Hussein Obama became president. He was not only good to them, he was great, actually going to their side, jettisoning Israel and all other allies, and giving Iran a major and very powerful new lease on life. Hundreds of billions of dollars and $1.7 billion in green cash flown into Tehran was handed to them on a silver platter. Every bank in DC, Virginia, and Maryland was emptied out. It was so much money that when it arrived, the Iranian thugs had no idea what to do with it. They had never seen money like this and never will again. It was taken off the plane in suitcases and satchels, and the Iranians couldn't believe their luck. They finally found the greatest sucker of them all in the form of a weak and stupid American president. He was a disaster as our leader, but not as bad as sleepy Joe Biden. For 47 years, the Iranians have been tapping us along, keeping us waiting, killing our people with their roadside bombs, destroying protests, and recently wiping out 42,000 innocent unarmed protesters, and laughing at our now great again country. They will be laughing no longer. Guys, the fact that President Trump is saying they will be laughing no longer, something's happening. Something is happening, and something is in the works. Now, what's really interesting about this post from President Trump is that prior to this, he actually played and shared a whole bunch of videos from Mark Levin. And I wanted to watch these videos. I haven't watched them yet, but I wanted to watch them with you tonight because remember what I've said about politicians posting articles or politicians posting, links to things. Politicians do not post links to articles or videos or something unless they support the messaging. So earlier today, this is while I was out, President Trump posted 3 videos from Mark Levin. And we are going to watch them all because I have not watched these videos yet, but I have a feeling that this is very important and this is very, very significant. So let's watch the first one and see. Let's watch the first one and see what in the Allah Akbar Durka Jihad is going on.
Welcome back, America. We're here with our good friend, Hudson Institute Senior Fellow, Keystone Defense Initiative Director, Rebecca Heinrichs. Rebecca, thanks for coming back. Well, we're at this point now where really I think it comes down to containment through a deal or some sort of victory, where we keep the pressure on, military pressure, economic pressure, and so forth and so on. How do you see this right now?
Well, I actually think there's a third way, and that's essentially you put the pressure back on, you do another military operation, and that is going to be more conducive to getting a deal that works. President Trump has been incredibly patient with this rump regime, but it has not delivered. When the president says, look, we're going to have a ceasefire, you still have IRGC militia firing on Navy ships. Now, our military is still in place, Mark, as you know, so we continue to take out these small boats that are trying to harm either tankers or our ships. But, enough is enough. I mean, we've got them economically squeezed. They are losing hundreds of millions of dollars a day because of what President Trump's economic pressure campaign is doing. The military pressure is still in place if President Trump gives the go-ahead. But I still think we have got to do another round. We know what targets we still have to hit inside Iran. That needs to come next. And then we're going to be in a better position to get these Iranians to actually start playing ball.
Well, let's say we do that. And let's say we get there. And they say, okay, Uncle, we give. Now we really want to talk to you again. What do we want? We know we want no nukes. We know we want no enrichment. We know we want to remove all the stored enrichment. What else do we want?
We want control of the Strait of Hormuz. But President Trump was completely right to initiate Operation Epic Fury. And whenever you saw his critics come in and say, oh my goodness, the United States didn't prepare for the Iranians to threaten the Strait, it's nonsense. We always knew that this was the only thing the Iranians could do. They could terrorize the Strait of Hormuz, 20+% of global shipping. And so we cannot give them that card ever again. And of course, we know that as long as the Iranians can terrorize the Strait, and by the way, there's still 1,500 ships being held hostage by the Iranians stuck in the Strait that President Trump wanted to be able to release with Project Freedom. We've paused that because the Iranians want us to pause it. I think that's a mistake. But I think we got to take that away. They cannot be funding proxies throughout the region. We're really handling that by depriving them of any resources. They're not even able to pay their militiamen at this point because of the economic squeeze they're in. But we don't want them to control the strait. They can't have nuclear weapons, and they can't have a ballistic missile program that can act as a shield so that the United States, with our great partners and allies, the Israelis, so that we can't come in and do this again if we need to in 10, 15, 20 years.
Now, that is a great point. They can't do it again, but we may have to come back in 10, 15, or 20 years. You see the opposition to what the president is already doing. I see the opposition here in the United States is growing. We have this isolationist movement. We have this Marxist Islamist movement. We have these woke right neo-fascists. We have a Democrat Party that is radically pacifistic. This is my concern. How long can this be managed once President Trump leaves office? Can it be managed in an effective way, given our politics and given the Democrat Party and these other elements?
Well, it's a great question. I think that President Trump is really the only president that has decided to finally take on this terrorist regime that has been an enemy of the United States, killing Americans for 47 years. And we know that all of this diplomacy, the Iran deal, Obama's attempt with the JCPOA, it was a failure. At the end of failed diplomacy, you have to have military force to reestablish deterrence. President Trump has done that. The Iran regime, I think, Mark, is already completely crumbling. And we basically have a rump regime in place. It's splintering. It's part of the reason that we can't get a deal at this point, because the IRGC isn't listening to the people who are negotiating with the Americans at this point. And so I think that,
guys, that's what we have been saying on Iran Revolution Live. Like, we have been saying for the longest time, the reason that you can't make a deal is because of the internal fractures, right? Like, everyone is like fighting against the other people, and whoever President Trump is speaking with, they don't have full control over the Islamic regime, over the entirety of it. And so, even if some people want to make a deal in order to survive, others don't. And so President Trump is playing them, and this is contributing to the internal collapse of the Islamic regime because the infighting is increasing severely.
We have to do what we can to eliminate those who are the most obstinate, the most committed to the Islamic Revolution, and try to get to a point where we can have a regime that can comply with the United States and our demands.
When we come back, my question to you is this. Why don't we just keep the pressure on economically if they're crumbling? Do as you say. Our military is sitting there. It's a beautiful military ready to do what it needs to do. Put this additional pressure on them. And that way, maybe they will collapse. And that's the surest way to make sure in 15 or 20 years from now, they won't be back. We'll be right back. Welcome back, America. We're here with Rebecca.
Ooh, guys. Okay, so I have a super chat on my YouTube live stream from Roman Viking. So let me just go to this really quickly. So Roman Viking asks, how would you distinguish against Iranian immigrants like you and the Durka supporter? How would you organize immigration policy? I mean, it's really difficult to do that. You would have to look at the background of the Durka, right? The vast majority of Iranians who have escaped the Islamic regime did so since 1979. So I would say the vast majority of Iranians who are against the Islamic regime immigrated and left from 1979 up until about maybe 10, 15 years ago. Now, it's not to say that there haven't been Iranians who've escaped since then. I mean, the majority still do. However, I would say that given sort of the mass migration policies, and also sort of the financial and economic immigration policies that have come forward, it has made it easier for Durkas that are affiliated with the Islamic regime to immigrate. Now, they are still in the minority, okay? They're still in the minority. So, you know, the vast majority of Iranians who immigrate to other countries do so because they're against the Islamic regime. However, there are exceptions, right? And the best way to find out if someone is a Durka or not, if someone is a terrorist or not, is to follow the money. Follow the money and see where the money comes from. That's the best and easiest way to find out who's a Durka and who isn't, and who's a terrorist and who isn't. So that, you know, it's, and I mean, obviously, like, nothing is foolproof, right? Nothing is foolproof. But the vast majority of Islamic regime agents who have come to Canada have done so through the economic and financial streams. My gosh, what? Wait, sorry, let me just get rid of this idiot on Twitch. Like, ew, go away. Like, this is not the place for you. Anyways, so that's what I would say. Like, the vast majority immigrate through financial means because they have the stolen blood money. Oh, someone's like, I thought you wouldn't be here today. Well, you know, I was out all day. I attended the rally. I attended the Free Iran rally in Toronto. I'm actually attending another rally in a different city next Saturday. So just want to give you a heads up on that, because I will not, I probably won't be around next Saturday because I'll be attending a different rally in a different city. But, you know, I did attend the rally, and then of course it was Mother's Day, but I just wanted to come on just for a little bit. I mean, it's not going to be a very late live stream. It's going to be pretty brief. But yeah, I wanted to come because there is a lot of info that's happening, a lot of things going on. And I also wanted to watch the videos that President Trump posted on Truth Social. And I figured, why not watch these videos with all of you, and we can watch them together, and I can get your thoughts and comments on this as well. All right, let's continue with Mark Levin's analysis here. President Trump has posted a number of videos, so we're going to watch all of them.
Back. Welcome back, America. We're here with Rebecca Heinrichs. Rebecca, so why have a deal at all? Why not keep the pressure on, pressure on? They want a deal. Of course they want a deal. That's the nature of the beast there. They'll take a deal. Maybe they'll sign something that's really in our favor, but probably won't honor it in the out years and so forth. If they're crumbling, why don't we give them the extra push?
Yeah, I think we do need to give them the extra push. And whenever I say that we might have some sort of diplomatic, political outcome to this, it's really not a deal that I'm looking for. It's not something that I'm not going to believe anything that the Iranians sign. It just means that they've completely submitted to American demands. And President Trump has not moved off of his red lines. He has kept his red lines in place, to his credit. But I do think we keep the economic pressure in place. We keep the blockade in place. Their economy is crumbling. They cannot sustain this kind of pressure. But I do think that we need to go on the offensive again, because we have seen the IRGC using cruise missiles, using other kinds of weapon systems that we didn't see that they had when we stopped Epic Fury. So we know where they are. We know where they are along the coastline. I do think that there's more munitions facilities that we now know exist. So I think we do have to have another military operation, go through there, take out more IRGC and besiege. And then the last point, Mark, I would say arm the Iranian people. We don't even have to do the heavy lifting at this point. The Iranian people support the United States. They oppose the Iran regime. They're the victims of oppression, and they can handle the rest if they have the weapons to do it.
There seems to be some opposition to this. I don't know who it is or why it is. I'm just wondering if the CIA bureaucracy is not up to it or doesn't want to do it, or somebody doesn't want to do it, because this is something that works. It's something we did throughout the Reagan administration. It doesn't involve our troops on the ground, fighting the Iranian troops and so forth and so on. And we have a willing people, tens of millions of them, that just want to be able to take on this regime. How many times do they have to prove it? They've had 50,000 dead this time, 100,000 dead before that. They want to be free. Why don't we use this resource and at the same time help free these people?
Well, I think it's a great question. And we saw early on in Epic Fury, President Trump essentially implied that we had a plan in place to get arms into those who could get it into the opposition. And that plan didn't work. But I would hope that we try again and see if there's another avenue to do this. During this ceasefire, we should have the CIA with the Israelis' intelligence services who have completely penetrated the regime. They know who the different factions are, who the people are, who they can work with. And in fact, the Iranian people have given coordinates to the Israelis to show them where the besieged leaders, those are the people who are controlling the Iranian populations, the dissenters. So there has been some collaboration already. Those individuals just need the weapons. They stand no chance unless they are completely armed. This is something that the United States should absolutely take advantage of. And as you said, Mark, that would enable them to take their own future in their hands. It's not something that the United States would have to do from the top down.
Yeah, when people keep saying they need to rise up and get shot in the head, they want to have a fighting chance. And we Americans believe that people who want to be free, who are being abused, ought to have a fighting chance. I mean, Rebecca, if it wasn't for the French in the Revolutionary War that wanted to make sure America had a fighting chance, we wouldn't be the United States of America. You look throughout the history of these things here, the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, in Angola, in Nicaragua. The communists are back, but the people did rise up under Reagan, and we did push communism out of so much of our hemisphere and so forth and so on. I think we know how to do this, don't we?
We do know how to do this. And the other thing that's really important to keep in mind is the standing army in Iran is not like the IRGC. They're nationalistic Iranians. They're not all,
Guys, she's making the distinction between the Attish and the IRGC. So this is true to a degree. However, the top level commanders. Ooh, guys, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Okay, so let me bring up the Boom Boom Durka bingo sheet here. Okay, so right now, what she's about to talk about. Okay, so she's about to talk of the difference between the IRGC, right? The IRGC and the Attish, which is the army. So as you can see on the Boom Boom Durka bingo sheet, pretty much all the top level IRGC commanders have been boom boomed, but the Attish, the top level Attish commanders up to this point have been left untouched. Interesting. Isn't that interesting? This is something that we've also been calling out here on Iran Revolution Live. So this narrative that you're hearing right now, you guys are familiar with this because we've been talking about this for like what, over a month now. Wow, this is very interesting. Okay, let's go back. This is interesting. I want to watch this again. I want to listen to this part again.
Much of our hemisphere and so forth and so on. I think we know how to do this, don't we?
We do know how to do this. And the other thing that's really important to keep in mind is the standing army in Iran is not like the IRGC. They're nationalistic Iranians. They're not all, ideologically committed to the Islamic Revolution like the IRGC, which is why in the past you heard some U.S. officials say, look, we haven't taken out the army. We've completely taken out the Iranian Air Force, the Iranian Navy, and we've left the army pretty much in place. Why? Because that is a moment of opportunity to overthrow the Iran regime, the Islamic Revolution. And so you have people there, and then you have the civilians who are willing to take their country back. It was only just a few decades ago, Mark, that these people had a more secular country. These people know how to be self-governing. They know how to have a secular government. It would work, I think, if the
These people, that's me. These people, that's us, right? Oh my gosh, this is music to my ears. This is like what we've been wanting to hear for a very long time. These people, that's us. Those are like the normal Iranian people. We're literally fighting the Muslim Nazi terrorists. We've been doing so for 47 years. Kind of nice to know that Americans are, waking up to this, and they're supporting us now.
The Islamic Revolution. And so you have people there, and then you have the civilians who are willing to take their country back. It was only just a few decades ago, Mark, that these people had a more secular country. These people know how to be self-governing. They know how to have a secular government. It would work, I think, if the United States used and took advantage of these people who just want freedom.
I'm with you 100%. I've been blowing this horn for a couple of months now, and particularly when the Army is not getting paid, particularly when the economy is hurting, they're going to lose more and more of their loyalty to this regime. And you're right. People confuse the Army with the IRGC. It's not the IRGC. It's separate and apart. The IRGC is there to try and keep the Army in place so those guys don't go running.
Guys, we explained this to you. We explained this to you like 1 month, 2 months ago. We have constantly been telling you that there's a difference between the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that was created in 1979 when the Islamic coup d'etat happened, versus the Artish. And we would explain to you how the Artish has pretty much been defunded, and all the financing, all the funding goes to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps because the IRGC and the mullahs have been afraid of a military coup from the Artish, right? Because the Artish is loyal to the nation. That's why the Islamic regime, it's Artish. Artish with an R. Artish, that's what it is. So the Artish has been purposely defunded because the Islamic regime is afraid of a military coup, right? Because the Artish is loyal to the people. And that's why the Muslim Nazis had to create a separate paramilitary organization called the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is loyal to Islam and loyal to the Islamic regime. They're not loyal to Iran. There's nothing Iranian about them. The fact that we're now guys, this, okay, first of all, oh my God, guys, my mind is blown. Wow. Okay, so first of all, the fact that Fox News is even making this distinction and talking about this difference between the Artish and the Islamic regime, number one, that's huge. Number two, the fact that President Trump posted this video. President Trump posted this video on his Truth Social, okay? That means President Trump is aware of this information. President Trump knows the difference between the Artish and the Islamic regime. And I have a feeling that President Trump is signaling that there is something happening behind the scenes. And this is 100% in line with what His Royal Highness King Reza Pahlavi has been saying about all the defections within the Artish, all the defections within the army. And the army waiting for the right time and waiting for the call, right? Because guys, this isn't about Fox News playing this video. This is about the fact that the President of the United States of America shared this video on his Truth Social because he wants you to watch this video. Guys, this is huge. Like, wow. This is very, oh my God, this is very significant.
For a couple of months now, and particularly when the army is not getting paid.
Overthrow the Iran regime, the Islamic committed to the Islamic Revolution like the IRGC,
right.
Which is why in the past...
In Afghanistan, in Angola, In Nicaragua, the communists are back, but the people did rise up under Reagan, and we did push communism out of so much of our hemisphere and so forth and so on. I think we know how to do this, don't we?
We do know how to do this. And the other thing that's really important to keep in mind is the standing army in Iran is not like the IRGC. They're nationalistic Iranians. They're not all, ideologically committed to the Islamic Revolution like the IRGC.
I love that. I love the fact that she says nationalistic Iranians. Yes, we are. We are nationalistic Iranians. We are patriots. We are patriots the same way that Americans are patriots to America. I love that. I love that description. Oh my gosh. They are nationalistic Iranians. That right there, nationalistic Iranian. This nationalistic Iranian, right? I love that. I love that. Yes. Yes. This is what we want. This is what we want. This is music to my ears. Oh my gosh, guys. Oh my gosh. I love her. I love her. I love this woman. I need to follow her. She is phenomenal.
Really important to keep in mind is the standing army in Iran is not like the IRGC. They're nationalistic Iranians. They're not all, ideologically committed to the Islamic Revolution like the IRGC, which is why in the past you heard some U.S. officials say, look, we haven't taken out the army. We've completely taken out the Iranian Air Force, the Iranian Navy, and we've left the army pretty much in place. Why? Because that is a moment of opportunity to overthrow the Iran regime, the Islamic Revolution. And so you have people there, and then you have the civilians who are willing to take their country back. It was only just a few decades ago, Mark, that these people had a more secular country. These people know how to be self-governing. They know how to have a secular government. It would work, I think, if the United States used and took advantage of these people who just want freedom.
I'm with you 100%. I've been blowing this horn for a couple of months now, and particularly when the army is not getting paid, particularly when the economy is hurting, they're going to lose more and more of their loyalty to this regime. And you're right. People confuse the army with the IRGC. It's not the IRGC. It's separate and apart. The IRGC is there to try and keep the army in place so those guys don't go running when they want to run. Rebecca, I want to thank you very much. The Hudson Institute, a great organization, too. God bless you, my friend.
Wow. Oh my gosh, guys. The fact that President Trump posted this is huge. Okay, I need to process this. So I'm going to take a quick break. Let's go to a quick commercial break, and then I'll be back with President Trump's next video, because I need to share this message with someone, because this is huge. So give me a few minutes and I will be right back.
Talking of peace, but you know how it ends. Smiles for the cameras, deals in the light, but truth disappears somewhere out of sight. Mullahs behind it, controlling the flow. You shake hands with fire, but you already know. Trump, future they don't even know. Deals at the top while the pressure runs low, and down below the fear continues to grow. Deal with the devil, you know what it costs. Promises fade while the lines get crossed. Deal with the devil, you hear their call. Voices in chains still rise and fall. Deal with the devil, don't look away while lives are taken day by day. Mr. Trump, now the moment is real. Reagan or Obama, pressure or deal. One stands firm, one bends to the game. History writes down the choice and the name. Stand with strength, don't let it all go. You don't free millions by moving too slow. Mr. Trump, if you give them that deal, they keep the power, they tighten the seal. More voices silenced, more lives erased, while freedom is pushed further away. Be the Reagan they need, take a stand, don't trade their future for a sake of a hand. Deal with the devil, you know what it costs. Too many lives already lost. Deal with the devil, you hear their call. Iranians fighting, they won't let it fall. Deal with the devil, don't look away while lives are taken day by day. Mr. Trump, be like Reagan, no deals with the devil.
Guys, so just FYI, if you're not following Barbod on YouTube, you need to go follow him because he is an amazing artist. Let me pull up his YouTube account so that you guys can all go and follow him. Like his songs are phenomenal. So good, so good. So, sorry, this is Barbod's music page. You just go to YouTube, type in like Barbod musician, and it comes up. You know, follow him. Let me post this in the chat so that you guys can all excuse me. There you go. And then let me just add it to the other chats as well. I just want to make sure that I share it with everyone. So yeah, follow him because he makes some amazing songs. Always, they're, you know, always bangers. So we love Barbod. Go give him a follow. Amazing and talented artist. Okay, so now let's go to, guys, so President Trump actually posted a video on his Truth Social showing footage of Iranians in occupied Iran. And I haven't seen this, but let's watch it together. Let's watch this together.
We don't
Let me go back to the beginning. Like, guys, this is wow.
we don't have to create opposition. There is opposition. We need to seize the opportunity. And we need to see the opportunity. And
Oh my God. Oh my God. So President Trump is acknowledging we don't need to create opposition. There is opposition. Yes. Yes, there is opposition. That opposition is led by His Royal Highness King Reza Pahlavi, the Crown Prince of Iran. Oh my gosh. Oh, they're acknowledging, guys. They're acknowledging that we have opposition. And guys, remember, guys, okay, I'll tell you why this is big. I'll tell you why this is big, because just a few days ago, wait, I just opened up my X. I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Oh my gosh. Gosh. Oh. Did I miss this? Did I miss this Truth Social post? I have just read the response from Iran's so-called, oh my god, guys, there's so much to unpack here. I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. Okay, so he puts representatives in quotation marks. So when he puts representatives in quotation marks, guys, that means he doesn't actually see them as representatives. He sees them as just like whatever. Like they're not actually representatives. And then he says, I don't like it. But guys, this post is from the White House, and the White House official post, they highlighted the part where President Trump says, totally unacceptable. And then he thank yous for your attention to this matters, the Islamic regime. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Whoa. I agree. Totally unacceptable. Finish the job. Boom, boom, the Islamic regime. Just eradicate them. Get rid of them. Wow. Guys, that's huge. But okay, but that's not even what I wanted to share with you. Guys, this is what I wanted to share with you. Oh wait. Oh yeah, good. I'm glad. Oh look, Mark Levin is calling out chunky yogurt. Yeah, call out chunky yogurt, guys. You need to deport chunky yogurt. Like, I don't know what's going on in the United States, but you need to like take his citizenship away and like deport him back to like Turkey where he belongs. Like, guys, you don't want people like chunky yogurt in your country. Like, chunky yogurt is like a garbage human being. Anyways, this is where was it? Okay, I might have to find this on my own. Okay, I'm gonna have to find this on my own profile because Mark Levin has too many posts, and I actually spoke about this. Where was it? Wait, where was it? Okay, yeah. So let me just say, so this was the rally. This was the rally that I attended today. So earlier today, I spoke about how there was like a terrorist who came out to the Richmond Hill rally. Look at this. So this was the gathering that we were holding today, and it was being held in numerous cities across the country. So like, just watch this. And then so King Reza Pahlavi saying, this is our message to everyone. Whether in parliament
دولت
whether in the government,
کاری که دولت‌های غربی می‌توانند انجام بدن
what governments can do,
یک سری از خواسته-های آنی هم‌میهنانمون برآورده بشه.
they can like governments can help governments. Some idiot is saying, "Oh, is that a fish tank?" Let me just ban you because you're an idiot. So yeah, you think that's a fish tank? Okay, so you're obviously IRGC because you're an idiot. So you're banned. Anyways, let's continue.
برقراری اینترنت و اتصال مردم به جهان آزاد.
So he's saying like foreign governments can help, Iranians gain access to the internet.
تأکید بر پایان دادن آنی اعدام‌ها در ایران.
Stop executions in Iran.
آزاد کردن تمام زندانیان سیاسی.
Freeing all the political prisoners.
در همین 2 هفته پیش
And he's like, in the last 2 weeks,
19 نفر در ایران
19 Iranians have been executed by the Islamic regime.
اعدام شدن. در هفته آینده
In the next week, I think 20, he says in the next week, and if I recall correctly, he says 20 more Iranians are slated to be executed.
قرار است 20 نفر دیگه اعدام شوند. یک دریا خون بین ما و این رژیم هست.
And he says there's an ocean of blood between us and the Islamic regime.
کلید اصلی پیروزی ما
The main key to our victory
و چیره شدن بر این دشمن مشترک یک صداییمون هست.
and defeating the enemy is being one voice.
اتحادمون هست.
It's being united.
تا این انقلاب شیر و خورشید
Until this Iranian lion and sun revolution
پیروز شود.
is successful. There you go. So that was the rally that I attended today. But let me go to, I want to go to what Mark Levin posted. Because this was big. Okay, so where was it? It was a few days ago. Okay, I can't find. It was a few days ago. Okay, oh my gosh, did I not? Where is it? Okay, so I can't find it now, but Mark Levin actually quote tweeted King Reza Pahlavi. Okay, I need to go find this. I will share it tomorrow. But Mark Levin actually quote tweeted King Reza Pahlavi a few days ago. And guys, that's a big deal because you have to keep this in mind. Now that, when Mark Levin in this video, he is speaking about the fact that there's already an opposition, you have to connect the dots, right? So Mark Levin quote tweeted King Reza Pahlavi, who is the leader of Iran's official opposition. Okay, he did that a few days ago. Now he's speaking about how there is already an official opposition. He doesn't necessarily name names, but this is where you have to connect the dots. So watch this.
We don't have to create opposition. There is opposition.
That opposition is King Reza Pahlavi, right? And Mark Levin knows that because Mark Levin quote tweeted him on X.
We need to seize the opportunity. And we need to see the opportunity. And by that I mean that our CIA, along with the Israeli Mossad, make determinations about the best way to determine who to train and arm, while at the same time we continue the economic stranglehold.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so we have a super chat from Wyatt. He says, does this mean Trump is negotiating with the army? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I would say that, it could be He's negotiating with the leaders of the army.
And our military, along with our allies, the Israelis, provide coordinated support with targeted and supportive attacks on the IRGC and the Basij paramilitary police. That's, in my view, how you do it. Well, Mark, you never served in the military. I know history.
Yeah.
I know history. Nobody alive ever served in the Civil War either. Nobody alive ever served in the Revolutionary War either. That's not the point. You do leave it to the experts to figure this out. But the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, he makes the decisions. And I look at history. I look at success. Success in destroying the Soviet Union. Success in pushing communism out of Central and South America. And we did this. Success in pushing communism out of parts of Africa. Success in pushing the Russians, the Soviets, out of Afghanistan. We didn't send in troops. We armed the freedom fighters, the Mujahideen in Afghanistan and others throughout the world. Why would we take this off the table? If the Kurds stole weapons, and the Kurds have been great allies of ours everywhere around the Middle East. They are patriotic, they are pro-American. There are other ways to do this. The question is whether our CIA is up to the task. I hope it is. I don't know anything about the bureau.
Ooh, that part's kind of awkward. Ooh, someone needs to give Mark a lesson on the Kurds, because Iranian Kurds are patriotic. The vast majority of Kurds are patriotic, but the separatist Kurds are not. And the separatist Kurds there are separatist Kurds in Iraq, there are separatist Kurds in Turkey, there are separatist Kurds in Syria that are funded by the Russians because they come from that Marxist communist ideology. And they're the ones causing issues for everyone else. So, yeah, someone needs to give Mark a little bit of a lesson on the Kurds, because, the Kurds are not all the same. You cannot call them the Kurds. Because that also makes things really awkward for, like, the Syrian Kurds who don't want to separate from Syria, right? Like, they're patriotic and loyal to Syria. I mean, whatever, it is what it is. But they're also being infiltrated by the separatist Kurds. Like, it's just, that's a whole other can of worms. But you know what? Mark's heart is in the right place. And, we love Abu Mark. So, his heart's in the right place. That's what matters.
Bureaucracy over there. I remember William Casey, the director of the CIA under Reagan. That man was fearless. It's something to think about quite seriously. This is how we've dealt with it in the past. Obviously, Iran's not Afghanistan, it's not Angola, it's not Nicaragua, and so forth. But as I see it, as we have all seen, the Iranian people have been more than willing than any other people to die for their liberation. They want liberation, and I bet they want retribution against this regime for slaughtering tens of thousands of their family members and raping and torturing their young women, their daughters, their sisters, their wives, and their mothers by the tens of thousands. They just need an opportunity. They can't do it with their bare hands. But the point is this: the only certain way to ensure that the Iranian regime can never and will never spread its revolution here, in the Middle East, in Europe, or anywhere else, and all that evil and horror that goes with it, involves its elimination. No matter what President Trump does, he will be attacked by the Democrats, the media, and the isolationists for his heroic actions against the Iranian regime. So I would ignore the Democrats and the media and the isolationists. They want failure. They will define success for them as our failure as a nation, because they are driven by a deranged mentality about politics, and exploitation for power. They are fundamentally power hungry. We've come so far. We've made such incredible progress. Victory is in sight, in my view. There's a gentleman by the name of Efren Fard. He's an expert in counterterrorism on Iran and Middle East, based in Washington, and he writes the following in the Jerusalem Post. Moments in which internal crisis and external pressure converge at this level, he's talking about Iran, are rare, and history suggests they don't remain open indefinitely. Previous opportunities for fundamental change were constrained by hesitation, particularly at the level of international coordination, and those constraints carried consequences. The current moment presents a similar test, but with higher stakes and less margin for delay. If the regime survives, he writes, the ideology that defines the system will remain intact, along with its patterns of behavior, as a threat that cannot be managed indefinitely. Systems defined by this level of ideological rigidity and expansionism do not evolve into moderation. They persist until they are forced to change or cease to exist. The removal of this structure would not only address an immediate security challenge, but would also open the possibility for a different relationship between Iran and the region, one that aligns with the emerging framework established by the Abraham Accords. Now, to be clear, I don't have access to all the information the president has or the military and intelligence experts, but I know what I know. And I know the president of the United States, President Trump, always has the best interests of the American people at front of mind. And that will be his guiding motivation. And frankly, I could not be prouder of our president, his team, and our military. I could not be prouder of all of them. My unsolicited advice, just as a commentator, somebody who studies history, stay the course. Stay the course. But thank you to all those who've brought us to this point, where frankly nobody thought we would ever be. Thanks to our president, our military, and the people around him.
Stay the course. One final video. This is the third video that President Trump shared on his Truth Social. And then for those of you who are willing to stick around, I'm going to have a bonus video for you after this. So stick around because I will actually have a bonus video for you about Iran that was produced by Americans. And it's going to be an old video, but it's going to be a bonus video. So stay tuned.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin Saturday. Welcome to the program. You know, President Trump has done something no president dared to do in the last half century. He, with our ally Israel and their great Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has destroyed the Iranian regime's military, the immediate nuclear threat, and most of the missile systems which were used to terrorize surrounding nations. If I told you that would have been accomplished in a few days, or even a few weeks, you wouldn't have believed me. And yet, for some reason, we act like this hasn't been a spectacular military success. That said, the knowledge on how to develop nuclear weapons and ICBMs, along with assistance from countries like China, Russia, and North Korea, and the internal militia and security forces of Iran, seem to ensure that sometime in the future, Iran will be able to reconstruct these weapon systems, rebuild its military, and internally increase its mass murder of even the most peaceful voices of dissent. So what do you do after you defeat an enemy's military and take out the top tier of their leadership? What do you do? Because that's where we are. Well, let's first look at what we said we will not do. No ground troops. Why? Because there's virtually no political will in our country to send ground troops into Iran. And I would argue there's no need to send in our ground troops for reasons I'll explain in a moment. President Trump has not only led a historic military victory against Iran, but he has asserted control over the Strait of Hormuz, thereby controlling Iran's ability to sell its oil and choke the Iranian economy in hopes of forcing the regime to make a deal or collapse. Those are two very distinct objectives: to make a deal or collapse. So the question is, which is preferable? So let's dig into this further. If the goal is to take down the regime, two of three most important conditions have already been achieved: the destruction of virtually its entire military capacity and economic control over their economy. These are two historic successes on their own. If the goal is to get a deal, the issue is not only what kind of deal, but can the deal stick? That is, how do we know if the enemy will adhere to the terms of a deal, especially after President Trump leaves office? Well, let's look at the Iranian regime's record. Rather than recounting the scores of examples, evidence, if you will, that the regime has violated every deal it has ever signed with any international organization, any country, or any group of countries, there simply is no evidence that the regime has ever honored any deal. Even the Obama nuclear disastrous deal, which ensured that Iran would have a nuclear weapon within 10 to 12 years of its signing, was violated by the Iranian regime, even though it would hand them nuclear weapons effectively. Why would the Iranian regime violate a deal that ensures it would have nuclear weapons in a decade or so? Because it felt no obligation to adhere to any deal, and it wanted to develop nuclear weapons to break out as fast as it could. So to be clear, even a deal in which the Iranian regime would in fact be able to secure nuclear weapons was violated by the Iranian regime repeatedly and in scores of ways. Monitoring, unannounced inspections, and the like were all eventually defied by the Iranian regime. So it's important to understand the ideological mindset of who and what we're dealing with. They're not of a Western mindset. The regime has learned from past experience with our country and with the current opposition in our country, from the Democrats, the media, and the radical isolationists, that all they need to do is wait us out. We have an election in November, and they see that election as possible, if not likely, to change our government, at least one part of it. That is, with the election of Democrats in the House, for example, they know that that party stands for appeasement, radical pacifism, and isolationism. They've heard what they have to say. They have heard what their media have to say. And they also know that the Democrat Party will try to undermine President Trump, including his foreign policy, and especially in Iran, where the Democrats actually funded the regime and its war-making power under the Biden administration. Even more, they watch these debates over the War Powers Act, articles of impeachment against the Secretary of War, and declarations of impeachment against the president should the Democrats win the House, based in large part on what the Democrats falsely claim as constitutional and legal violations. And they claim that this is a war of choice, that it is a blunder, and that it is an illegal war. So the Iranians say, let's just hang in there. If the Democrats take the House, that's an American regime change. And if the Democrats take the presidency, wow, we're free to roll. 3 years hence, if a Democrat is elected president, the Iranian regime figures it's no longer bound by the terms of any agreement, no matter how great the terms, because it simply will not be enforced. And we won't have the stomach to enforce it militarily, will we? Will we? You have a courageous president who's taking actions, who's ignoring the polls and doing what's right for the security of this nation and the world. Unfortunately, that's rare. The Iranian regime also knows there's a Marxist Islamist alliance and presence in our country. And in fact, the Iranian regime is a Marxist Islamist ideological regime. And they and their allies helped fund it in our country and around the world. And it's very loud and it's very violent. And it has the Democrat Party by the throat. And it, along with the neo-fascist isolationists, will claim that Israel is behind any effort to enforce an agreement with Iran. And Israel is dragging us into another war. We hear it now, right? We cannot ignore the dark storm clouds of anti-Semitism that are now hanging over our country and have a strong foothold in the Democrat Party, the media, the academia, and this radical isolationism. And then there is the ideology of the Iranian regime, which, remember, is a worldwide Islamist revolution. That's its belief. Again, it is a Marxist Islamist worldwide revolutionary movement. As the Blair Institute has said, just like communism, a state was never the objective of the revolution. The organs of the Iranian state served the revolution, not the other way around. And the end goal of the revolution was never a state. It was the expansion of the revolution. The revolution.
Guys, that's what we have been saying this entire, guys, that's what I have been saying this entire time. I have been saying forever that the 1979 Islamic coup d'etat, it was never about Iran. It was about using Iran as an ATM to export their jihad to the rest of the world. And that's exactly what's been happening. And you know what? When I spoke about that, people accused me of, oh, Goldie's Islamophobic, blah, 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 blah. Goldie doesn't know what she's talking about. Blah, blah. Look, this is literally, this is it. Oh my gosh. Wow. 100% vindication, guys. 100% vindication. Because not only is Mark Levin saying this, President Trump is sharing this video on his Truth Social because he wants you to know that the Islamic regime is not satisfied with just maintaining its borders because they don't believe in borders. They don't believe in national identity. The Islamic regime has been trying to eradicate our Iranian identity, and now they're trying to eradicate the American identity because this is part of their global plan. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Does not exist to perfect the state. The state, or in this case, the so-called Republic of Iran, is simply a means to support and perfect the revolution.
Yes, guys. So this is why Iran is poor. Iran, 70% of the Iranian people live below the poverty line because the Islamic regime uses Iran as an ATM. They have been using Iranian money to fuel their jihad, their terrorism, their Allahu Akbar, Durkha, garbage nonsense for 47 years. That's exactly what's been going on. That's what President Trump is telling you guys. The fact that he is sharing this video that Mark Levin put out, that tells you that President Trump knows exactly what is going on. Oh my gosh. Wow. Guys, this is what we have been waiting for. President Trump, by sharing this video post from Mark Levin, he is basically saying to the Islamic regime, I know what's going on. I'm exposing you. Like, that's what this is. Wow.
Where the two conflict, the revolution is prioritized. This is something people in the West, in our country, simply don't seem to be able to get their heads around. Yes. They go on. The failure of the administration of former U.S. President Barack Obama and the new European External Action Service, the EEAS, to properly read Iran's intentions and their persistence in viewing Iranian political developments through the prism of Iran's relations with the West severely constrained the Western negotiating position. This is key for any deal, any negotiation. to not understand that you're negotiating with a revolutionary Marxist Islamist movement that seeks to destroy the West at all costs, at any costs, even in their own destruction, is to completely misconstrue and misunderstand what you're negotiating with and what you're up against. This is not a nation state negotiating with a nation state. It is a nation state, the United States of America, negotiating with a revolutionary ideology that seeks global dominance.
That's what I've been saying this
And they go on to
time.
explain that these agreements with the Iranian regime do more to tie the hands of the West than the hands of the regime, which feels no obligation to adhere to any agreement with the West. And this has consequences. As an example, if we make a deal with Iran, does that mean Israel can't defend itself against Hezbollah? Are we going to have a situation where the Iranian regime survives, Hezbollah survives, and Hamas survives? Is this all being taken into consideration? Let's hope so. Okay, so you say, Mark, okay, well, what if there's no deal? Or if a deal short of the unconditional surrender that we had mentioned earlier? And if you're not going to send in ground troops to destroy the regime, well, then what are you going to do? This is where I turn to more recent history and what I call the third leg of victory. In addition to the historic military and economic actions, there must be steps taken to destroy the regime internally. After all, the Iranian regime has an elaborate police state, an internal security force that is armed and well-trained and is critical to the revolution. In fact, the regime has been importing militia from Iraq and elsewhere to reinforce its internal security force. So what do we do about this? We can't defeat it from the skies. We can't defeat it from the seas. We can't defeat it alone by economically choking them off, even though some people have suggested that. The way we have dealt with this in the past, during the Reagan administration and as part of the Reagan doctrine, as I've explained here now 3 or 4 weeks in a row, is to train and arm the people. And in Iran, you have millions and millions of people who are desperate to overthrow the regime, who are courageous, tens of thousands who have died. What other proof do they have to provide? Hello?
Oh, shoot. I missed it. Okay, guys. Okay, he's speaking about Garda Javidan. Guys, he's speaking about the Immortal Guard. He's speaking about the Immortal Guard. Guys, this is the same message that King Reza Pahlavi has said. King Reza Pahlavi has always said, we do not need American or Israeli boots on the ground. What King Reza Pahlavi has said is that the Iranian people will be the boots on the ground. And he started the Immortal Guard plan back in the summer. Guys, what if the Immortal Guard have been secretly training with the CIA and Mossad these last few months so that they can be properly trained in order to counter the Islamic regime? Like I don't know if that's true or not, but based on what Mark Levin is saying right now, I have a feeling that maybe that's what's been going on behind the scenes. Maybe there have been CIA and Mossad behind the scenes training the Immortal Guard. I mean, I honestly, that's a wild theory. That's a wild theory that I just thought of. I mean, I can't confirm if that's true or not, but now that I'm listening to Mark Levin talking about this, that makes me think that could potentially be a possibility. Like, that could be a possibility. Maybe the reason that there's been sort of like a ceasefire or whatever is because not only is it about making sure that the weapons get there, but it's also about making sure that people are trained. mean, that's a wild theory, but I mean, let's see if it pans out.
For the regime who are
Wow.
courageous, tens
Look
of
at this, look at
desperate
this.
people
And
who
guys, not only is Mark Levin sharing footage of Iranians fighting against the Islamic regime, it's not like, guys, the reason this video is really important isn't just about the fact that Mark Levin is sharing this video and talking about this. It's about the fact that President Trump posted this video on his Truth Social, which means President Trump wants us to watch this video and pay attention to this video.
I've explained here now 3 or 4 weeks in a row, is to train and arm the people. And in Iran, you have millions and millions of people who are desperate to overthrow the regime, who are courageous, tens of thousands who have died. What other proof do they have to provide?
Whoa, that's it. That's where it ends. Okay, let's watch. This is okay. I need to watch this again. This is big. Guys, like, there is something happening behind the scenes. This is big.
Destroy the regime. Well, then what are you going to do? This is where I turn to more recent history and what I call the third leg of victory. In addition to the historic military and economic actions, there must be steps taken to destroy the regime internally. After all, the Iranian regime has an elaborate police state, an internal security force that is armed and well-trained and is critical to the revolution. In fact, the regime has been importing militia from Iraq and elsewhere to reinforce its internal security force. So what do we do about this? We can't defeat it from the skies. We can't defeat it from the seas. We can't defeat it alone by economically choking them off, even though some people have suggested that. The way we have dealt with this in the past, during the Reagan administration and as part of the Reagan doctrine, as I've explained here now 3 or 4 weeks in a row, is to train and arm the people. And in Iran, you have millions and millions of people who are desperate to overthrow the regime, who are courageous, tens of thousands who have died. What other proof do they have to provide?
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was wow. Okay, so wait, that's not the video that I wanted. Where's the video? Where's the video? Here we go. So I think it's really important. So I just want to end tonight's live stream with this video. So for everyone watching, I just want to let you guys know, people who have been a part of, my channel from the very beginning and Goldie's gang, I know that I've been focusing a lot on Iran Revolution Live for the last 134 days with good reason. But I just wanted to let you know that I am making a few changes in scheduling. Iran Revolution Live is still going to continue. Don't worry, Iran Revolution Live is not going anywhere. But I do have to start paying more attention to my own channel, The Goldie Show, because we used to do a lot of documentary watch parties. And, I used to talk about, certain other things as well. So for everyone who's watching me on Rumble, on X, on YouTube, on my channel, don't worry, guys. It's been 134 days that I've pretty much focused entirely on Iran Revolution Live. But as of tomorrow, I am going to be making a few schedule changes, and we are going to be focusing a little bit more on the Goldie Show as well. So I just wanted to thank you all for your patience and for your support. And I do have a whole bunch of documentaries that I want to watch with all of you. So for those of you who are watching me on Rumble, make sure that you're also subscribed to my other channel, because I do have 2 channels on Rumble. Let me just pull it up really quick. I know I've added this to the description on my Rumble channels, but let me just go to Rumble really quick. Where's my so I have 2 channels on Rumble. I have Iran Revolution Live, but I also have the Goldie Show. So if you're not following the Goldie Show, make sure that you're following the Goldie Show as well, because this is where I post all of my videos and content that are not Iran Revolution live streams. So when I do documentary watch parties, I do it on the Goldie Show channel. So make sure you're following both. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, I know we also have Alien Revolution live. Guys, I'm still trying to convince my sister to join me for Alien Revolution live. Let's see if we can convince my sister to join us. But we'll do that soon. But there you go. But yeah, so you're gonna see some schedule changes starting tomorrow, and now you know. But yeah, I do need to go back to sort of like some of my original content, and I just wanted to thank everyone who has been supporting me and watching me. You know, thank you for your patience, because I know I've been focusing a lot on Iran Revolution Live, but I will be going back to the Goldie Show as well. So just keep an eye out for that. And we're just going to end with this amazing 15-minute interview with Richard Nixon. And then we'll see you guys tomorrow for day 135 of Iran Revolution Live. So until then, I'm Yisrael Chai. God bless America. Payanda Iran and Javid Shah. See you guys tomorrow.
Let's look at the Shah for just a moment and look at him very fairly. He actually was a progressive in a number of ways. He instituted a land reform program. He instituted a literacy program. He sent thousands of students from Iran to the United States, and particularly the United States, to study, and in other countries as well. He liberated women. The irony was that those he liberated, the women and the students he sent abroad, they came back and joined the revolution.
Sorry, someone asked, and then we dance. Yes, after the Richard Nixon interview, I will play some music as well. So for those of you who want to stick around, we will have a music dance party as well for you guys. So don't go anywhere. The dance tunes will be coming after Richard Nixon.
Revolutionary forces. And the irony was that the Shah, being progressive, was attacked as being reactionary and conservative on these particular issues, whereas his opponents were the reactionaries. Putting it very bluntly and very simply, the Shah was trying to move Iran into the 20th century. His opponents, Khomeini et al., wanted to move Iran back into the Dark Ages, and that's what they've done. Now, there was some repression, true. Now there is total repression. There may not have been enough land reform. Now there is none whatever. What I am simply suggesting is this, that when we look at the Shah, we have to look at him in terms of what he confronted. And he confronted revolutionary forces there that were not working, in my view, for what was best for Iran, and certainly not best for ourselves. And most important, from the United States standpoint, instead of having a friend in Iran, we now have one that is not only not a friend, but one that considers us to be the great Satan.
Can you say that if you had stayed in office that you would not have allowed the Shah to fall?
I would not have, no. I would have been steadfast throughout. I would have made it very clear down through the bureaucracy that there was to be absolutely no contact with those that were trying to overthrow him. I would have had a very good study made of Khomeini's background and would have found that exactly what kind of person it was, because by studying his background, they could have known that he was going to do exactly what he's going to do. The man is a radical reactionary. He's not a progressive in any sense of the word. See, the choice basically was not between the Shah and somebody better. The choice was between him and somebody worse. And it's very easy for me to make that choice.
If you had been confronted with the worst case from that point of view, and the Shah had been overthrown and hostages taken, and you were president, would you have taken him into the United States?
Absolutely. I would have taken him into the United States. And as far as the hostages was concerned, I would have handled that a little differently too. I don't say this in criticism of President Carter, because he certainly went through a lot on the hostage situation. He believes it may have cost him the election. I don't think it did. I think the economic issues were the major ones. But be that as it may, it didn't help him. But as far as the hostage situation was concerned, American foreign policy can never be made hostage to hostages. That's why hostages are taken, for purposes of blackmail. And we mustn't let that happen. And for example, when President Carter was asked about the hostage situation, he went overboard in saying that our first and then only concern was the safety of the hostages. Now, that is a concern, but our major concern is what happens to Iran, what happens to the relations between the United States and Iran. And in this respect, I would never have said, as President Carter did, that I rule out the use of force in order to get the hostages back. All that did was to encourage those that had captured them and were holding them in captivity not to give them up. I remember President Eisenhower during our administration and the vice presidential days used to say on occasion that he had learned as a military commander that it's very important never to tell your enemy what you're going to do, because then he'll be ready for you. But he says it's just important never to tell him what you're not going to do, because then that will encourage him to do things he otherwise might not do. And in this case, that was a mistake, in my view, to do that. The other thing I would say is that with regard to the hostage rescue operation, that President Carter and the Pentagon, I assume they are the ones that joined in the decision, made a mistake and are not, again, following out an Eisenhower dictum. And that dictum is that when you make a play of that sort, you always assume the worst. And you cannot assume that your intelligence is going to be absolutely accurate. I have a very interesting reaction in that respect that Eisenhower had at the time of Lebanon in 1958. As everybody will recall, in 1958 in Lebanon, there was a crisis because the government there was under attack. There was a possibility that the Soviet Union might intervene. And Eisenhower had to make a decision as to whether or not to send Marines in order to establish peace. And I remember the briefing that occurred in the Oval Office, and Eisenhower heard Allen Dulles, the head of the CIA, and Foster Dulles, the Secretary of State, brief him and to recommend that we send in a Marine group in order to keep order. And when they gave their report, they indicated that they did not think there would be any intervention from the standpoint of the Russians, and then that it would be a peaceful operation. And Eisenhower sat back, and after they had given this report, he said, "Foster, let me ask you something. Let us assume our intelligence is wrong. Are you prepared to take the next step?" And Foster Dulles thought a long time. He said, "Well, Mr. President, I'm 90% sure that there will be no problem. But if there is, yes, we should be prepared to take the next step." The point of that anecdote is that Eisenhower would never have made the mistake of the Bay of Pigs. When the intelligence proved to be wrong, there wasn't the uprising that they had hoped at the time, and when it was necessary to have committed more air strength than had been planned, or at least not to cut back on what had been planned. In other words, in the hostage situation, rather than sending enough helicopters plus one, you should say send twice the number to be sure that if there were, as there turned out to be, mechanical or other difficulties, you'd be prepared to carry out the operation to a successful conclusion.
If you had still been in office, would you have taken the risk of the rescue mission?
Oh, yes. Oh, I think President Carter deserves high marks for taking that risk. I saw the Shah the last time in Mexico, at Cuernavaca, Mexico. He was then in the last phases of terminal cancer, although he would never admit it or talk about his own problems at all. But he was quite thin and quite pale. But his head still as active and sharp as it had always been. He's a very intelligent, introspective man. And he said that what concerned him about the way he was treated by the United States was not that the United States was for him or against him, but was the uncertainty of the policy. He says there's nothing worse when you are confronted with revolutionary and rebel forces and uncertainty insofar as support is concerned. One day, for example, he said statements would come in, public and private, from Washington indicating total support and urging him to stand firm. The next day, there would be some story leaked from a high-level aide, printed all over the world and given particular credence in Tehran, to the effect that lower-level or second-level people in the administration were meeting with Khomeini and others who were out to knock the Shah off or out, as the case might be. And then the next day, there would be a story to the effect that in the event that the Shah left Iran or was overthrown, the United States would be prepared to accept any government that the people chose. Well, he said all of this had the effect of encouraging his enemies and, of course, discouraging his own supporters. He said that was a mistake. And I believe it was a mistake, too. As a matter of fact, what happened to the Shah, I think, could only be interpreted in that part of the world and other parts of the world as well, is that it is dangerous to be a friend of the United States, and it may pay to be an enemy. I think what we have to understand is that the Shah was the best friend of the United States in that area, in the whole Persian Gulf area, and it was Israel's only friend. The Shah, we must remember, in the 1973 war, furnished oil for our Mediterranean fleet when the other countries in the area cut it off. And the Shah tied down the Iraqi forces by supporting the Kurds against the Iraqis so that they never got involved in the 73 war. And I know that the Shah, when he spoke in Mexico about what had happened, he could not understand why it was that among his critics in the American media, there were some of Jewish background, not all, but some who were among his most violent critics because they were liberals and they thought he was too reactionary and the rest. And he just couldn't understand that because he was the only friend that Israel had in that whole area of the world.
Why did you go to his funeral?
First, because I knew him better than any world leader I have met over the past 37 years of public life in and out of it. I met him first back in 1953 when I was a young vice president and he was a very young Shah in his early 30s. And I met him over 10 or 12 times after that. I found him to be a very sensitive man, a very intelligent man, one who understood the world as well as any leader that I had met, who could talk about India or Pakistan or China or Latin America with, frankly, as much perception and sophistication as any American leader could possibly talk about it. And I had great respect for him. And I think the major reason I went, though, I must say, was because I was concerned that our own government, again, I suppose, because of the hostage situation, was not going to be represented at the funeral by a high-level person.
Were you concerned that your going might embarrass President Carter?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, it occurred to me that President Carter probably deep down wished he could have gone, but he couldn't. He didn't feel that he could because of the hostage situation. No, I went because the Shah was my friend. He was a friend of the United States, and I thought that some high-level individual from the United States ought to be there. You see, the important thing that we've got to get across to the people in countries that are wavering between standing with us or going in the other direction or remaining neutral is that the United States is not a fair weather friend, that we will stand by our friends and allies when they are down as well as when they are up. Now, that may not make good diplomacy, but I think it, in the short run, but in the long term, I think it's absolutely essential if we're going to build the kind of support and respect and confidence in the United States that we need to have.
Mr. Nixon, America has been criticized for abandoning friends like the Shah, whom you strongly supported, and you've criticized our abandoning him. But isn't the danger just as great in sticking with regimes that have lost the support of their people, like the Shah, like Somoza, like Ian Smith? Again and again, it's said that we back despots and dictators.
I couldn't disagree with you more. What you have to understand is that the choice was never between the Shah and somebody better, but between the Shah and somebody infinitely worse.
Well, we don't know
And
that
what
in
you
the
have to-
beginning.
Well, the point is, if we didn't know it at the beginning, we'd better know it now. We have friends all over the world like the Shah, and we have friends, for example, in Saudi Arabia at the present time. Because that government happens to be corrupt, it is claimed, are we going to abandon them? Let's take China, for example. Because China is more Stalinist than the Soviet Union, are we going to say that we're going to abandon them? No.
But don't we ever say this man is no good for this country, this man is a dictator, this man is a despot, and maybe it could be better? Or do we automatically assume it won't be?
We do not automatically assume anything. We have to use our influence and use it effectively, but it's got to be used with a rifle rather than a shotgun, and we must not jump from the frying pan into the fire. It was a great mistake to do what we did to the Shah, and if that had not happened, we wouldn't have the hostage situation today. If the United States doesn't stand up for its friends, we're not going to have friends. That's true of the Shah. It's true of others as well. The choice is not a good one many times. The choice is between, however, for example, when you really equate the Shah with some of the others, I'm really surprised because the choice is between one who is a friend of the United States, whatever may be his failings, and one who is an enemy. One who tries to export his revolution and one who is trying to at least not threaten his neighbors. One who allows, as the Shah did, as you very well know, who allows some human rights, who allows some political rights, and does allow economic rights, and another regime that allows none. I would say there's no question about which side I come down on there. And the same is true of Somoza, the same is true of some of the others as well. I don't approve of some of them, but I would say I prefer some rights rather than none, and that's the choice that we have to face up to, or the United States is going to cease to be a great power.